What's going on, guys? It's your boy Decoder, and welcome back to another episode of Know Your Rulings, where I answer your ruling questions that you left in the comment section of the previous video. So without further ado, let's get into the rulings. Okay, so this first ruling question comes to us from Danny Otterson, and they ask, Floowandereeze versus Evenly Matched. Do the Floowandereeze monsters get banished face down, or because of their own effects, they get banished face up? So, all the Floowandereeze monsters basically all have the same effect that says if this face-up monster would leave the field, banish it instead. So in this situation, you basically have a weird interaction between the Floowandereeze monster wanting to banish itself and Evenly Matched wanting to banish the monster face down. The precedent that we have for this is with Battle Fader and the Psyframe trap card Psyframe Overload, which banishes a card face down. So in this situation, say your opponent has summoned a Battle Fader that would be banished if it leaves the field, and you Psyframe Overload it. In that situation, the Battle Fader actually gets banished face up rather than face down. In this situation, I would say that the precedent doesn't lie, and it's pretty much that simple, that the Floowandereeze monster would be banished face up. However, I do think that it would be a good idea that if you do intend to have this interaction at a regional or something like that, do ask the head judge, because I feel like this is the kind of thing that might get ruled either way depending on which event you go to. But due to precedent, it should be ruled that the Floowandereeze monsters get banished face up if they would be banished by Evenly Matched. Okay, so this next ruling question comes to us from the TJ Timmy, and they ask, my opponent uses the effect of Destroy Phoenix Enforcer to special summon itself on his own turn. During my standby phase, can I activate Call by the Grave targeting the DPE before it summons itself? So, in the case of Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer's effect, it activates whenever it hits the graveyard after being destroyed, but it'll only actually resolve the effect during the standby phase of the next turn. So in this case, they use the DPE on their own turn. It is now your standby phase, and you are asking if you are allowed to activate Call by the Grave before they can return the Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. In this case, the way it works, yes, you are allowed to choose to activate the Call by the Grave before resolving the DPE, and the reason why is specifically because Destroy Phoenix Enforcer's effect is one that simply needs to resolve at some point in the standby phase, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the first thing to happen whenever you enter that standby phase. So in this case, all DPE says is you cannot leave the standby phase without having resolved the effective DPE. However, in this situation, you are indeed allowed to choose to activate and resolve your Call by the Grave before giving the chance to your opponent's DPE of resolving its effect. So yes, you are allowed to Call by the Grave before DPE resolves here. Okay, this next only question comes to us from Ryan Collins, and they ask, Hi Coder, I have a quick question for you. I have previously activated Scarlet Sanguine this turn to summon the Golden Lord. Am I allowed to activate the graveyard effect of Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer to special summon it during the next standby phase? So the reason why they're asking this question is because Scarlet Sanguine locks you into only being allowed to summon zombie monsters this turn. And as we know, if you're locked into zombie monsters, for example, you can't activate an effect that would special summon a warrior monster, because in this situation, because you're locked into zombies, the activation of an effect that would summon a warrior is not legal. However, this rule is a little bit different when you consider something that is a delayed summon. So the effect of Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer is not one that performs a special summon when it resolves. All it does is it activates and resolves, and then later on you'll end up summoning a monster rather than immediately when the effect resolves. So in this situation, you are legally allowed to activate the effect of the Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, even if there's something preventing you from special summoning a warrior monster at that moment. So something like Sanguine or even something like a Vanity's Fiend, you would still be allowed to activate the Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. All it checks is when the Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer would actually summon the monster is the point at which you check whether or not that summon is legal. If the summon is legal, you perform it. If it is not legal, you simply don't summon anything via the effect of the DPE. Alright, so this next ruling question comes to us from Javier, and they ask, Hey Coder, would Riza the Mega Monarch activate its effect if it was tribute summoned using Floowandereeze and the Unexplored Winds effect to send one card you control and a card the opponent controls? So, in this case, yes, the Rise of the Mega Monarch is allowed to activate in this case because Floowandereeze and the Unexplored Winds does treat the summon as being a tribute summon. So in this case, yes, the Riza is allowed to target a card on your opponent's field and target a card in your opponent's graveyard. However, the one thing that you do need to consider when you summon Riza via the effect of the Unexplored Winds is the fact that even if the monster that you choose to send from your side of the field is a wind monster, your Riza is still not allowed to activate that extra effect that lets it return a card on the field to the hand. And the reason why is because the monster that was used as material for you to perform the tribute summon via Unexplored Wind with Riza is not actually treated as being sent for the tribute summon or as being a tribute for this monster. So in this case, the two cards on the field are sent in order to tribute summon your monster. However, the Riza does not treat the sent monsters as the tributes for its tribute summon. So in this case, even if you sent a wind monster, it was not tribute summoned by tributing a wind monster. So you can target a card on the field and a card in the graveyard to put them on the top of the deck. However, you will not be able to select an additional card to return to the hand. Okay, this next only question comes to us from T and Nguyen, and they ask, if I activate Tenyi Spirit Ashuna, effect to special summon a Tenyi from the deck, and my opponent chains with Ash Blossom to negate it, am I still locked into only summoning worm monsters for the rest of this turn? So to answer this one, we have to look at the text on Tenyi Spirit Ashuna. So Tenyi Spirit Ashuna says, special summon a Tenyi monster from your deck. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn, except worm monsters. So you have to look at the conjunction, and the conjunction on Ashuna is the also conjunction. And when you have the also conjunction, it basically ties the A portion and the B portion effect all into one effect. So if the Ashuna gets Ash Blossomed, that entire effect gets negated. It negates the A portion, which special summons from deck, also the B portion, which locks you out of summoning anything other than worm monsters for the rest of this turn. So in this case, if your Tenyi Spirit Ashuna does get Ash Blossomed, you are still allowed to special summon non-worm monsters from your deck. Okay, this last ruling question comes to us from Harrison Williams, and they ask, hey Coder, what happens when I activate Machina Citadel as Chainlink 1, targeting itself, and then activating Anger Knuckle as Chainlink 2, targeting the Citadel and sending it to the graveyard? Does Citadel still destroy the opponent's monsters, or is the game unable to verify Citadel's attack? So, in this case, Citadel has the effect that it can target a monster on your field, destroy it and all monsters your opponent controls with equal or less attack. So in this case, the effect of Citadel specifically needs to be able to verify the attack of the monster when the effect resolves. But because the Citadel is no longer on the field because you sent it with the effect of the Anger Knuckle, in this situation what will effectively happen is that Citadel's effect will resolve without effect. It won't be destroying anything on the field because it is not able to verify what the attack of the Citadel is, and therefore is not able to verify whether or not your opponent's monsters have equal to or less attack, because the monster that was targeted is no longer there, so the target is lost and the attack cannot be verified. So anyways, guys, that was it for this episode of Know Your Rulings. I hope you guys learned something new. Don't forget to leave your ruling questions in the comment section of this video so I can go over those for the rulings of a later Know Your Rulings videos. Thank you so much, guys. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace!